Hello everybody, it's me again, back with a video that I'm hoping will become a thread. Lots of threads seem to be the trend right now, and I am really hoping that this becomes one of those things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about 10 late career albums that are, in my eyes, masterpieces of albums. You can do 10, you can do 5, you can show as many as you want. I'm going to do 10, but just show albums that the artist that I would say the work compares to their peak prowess. So for example, I'll just jump right into it. I'll start with an album that I show all the time. This is The Tree of Forgiveness by John Prine. This came out in 2018, ended up being his last album before he passed away tragically from COVID-19. This album is a perfect send-off for John Prine's career. Obviously, John Prine, singer-songwriter in the Americana country vein. Great stuff on here. Some of my favorites: Boundless Love, Summer's End, Knocking on Your Screen Door, When I Get to Heaven, the last track, which would eventually be the last track of his career. I saw John on this tour, but every song is fantastic. It's a quick little album, about 32, 33 minutes. He does some collaborations on here with Jason Isbell, Brandy Carlisle, Dan Auerbach of the Black Keys. So I highly recommend this album, The Tree of Forgiveness by John Prine. It's my favorite John Prine album. It's a masterpiece. Perfect album. Perfect. And I will say, not all these albums are perfect. They're just great career, late career masterpieces. Next is an album I don't think I've ever shown. This is Alone in the Universe by Jeff Lynne's ELO. This is the current incarnation of ELO, obviously helmed by Jeff Lynne, with some contributions from ELO keyboardist Richard Tandy, who I think is currently in poor health. This was the first ELO-related project since Zoom, which I think was 2001, and was really met with terrible reviews, even though it sounds like any other Jeff Lynne project. It just wasn't the right time when it came out. That style had been replaced by the modern pop, and Jeff Lynne's peak, powers were no longer there. But this is a fantastic album. It was Jeff Lynne's comeback from 2015. Alone in the Universe, great songs on here, like When I Was a Boy, it's a beautiful ballad. All My Life is kind of like a Roy Orbison song. Well, no, I should say All My Life is kind of just that really high Jeff Lynne type singing. He does a song called I'm Leaving You, which he wrote in the style of Roy Orbison, hoping, obviously they were in the Traveling Wilburys together. So Alone in the Universe. He also had another record called From Out of Nowhere, which came out about 5 or 6 years ago. But check this out, Alone in the Universe by Jeff Lynne. Let's see where to go next. Well, let's go here. I show this one all the time too. This is Marty Stewart and his Fabulous Superlatives. Way Out West. I've talked this album to death. I don't need to talk about it anymore, other than the fact that if you like the Byrds, if you like Tom Petty, if you like some Buck Owens, if you like surf music, if you like any of that, get this record. Produced by Mike Campbell. It is not your grandpa's country record. It's not even a country record. It's country rock. It's psychedelic. It's spacey. It's awesome. Check it out. There's Marty, Mike Campbell. Beautiful. Next, let's go with the boss, Bruce Springsteen. This is one of my favorite Bruce albums as well. This is Western Stars that came out in 2019. This is kind of Bruce does Jimmy Webb and Glenn Campbell. It is highly produced with strings and orchestration. It's not your, stadium rock of the E Street Band. It's not get your blood pumping. These are beautifully crafted songs. It's very cinematic. Again, if you like Glenn Campbell, if you like Jimmy Webb, any of that 60s kind of cosmopolitan country music, check this out. Obviously, you have Bruce's voice on here, which is just phenomenal. Again, Bruce looking cool on the back. Some highlights on here: The Wayfarer, Tucson Train, Western Stars, Sleepy Joe's Cafe, There Goes My Miracle, Hello Sunshine. Check it out. There's also a live album to accompany this, and a film, a concert film. So Western Stars by Bruce Springsteen. Next, I'm going to go with Van the Man. Again, Van's later career gets kind of chewed out quite a bit. This is the album from 2019 called Three Chords and the Truth, which I thought was quite the return to form for Van. His last few albums had really focused on the blues and a lot of covers. You know, he did a couple of albums with Joey DeFrancesco, the keyboard player, the jazz keyboardist. He did a semi-standards album with Versatile, which I like all those records. But this album, a couple of the songs are very Astral Week sounding. He does a duet with Bill Medley of the Righteous Brothers on the second song, Fame Will Eat the Soul. The very last song, it's called Days Gone By. It's possibly a top 10 favorite Van Morrison song for me. He kind of uses the tune of Auld Lang Syne. Just a beautiful, beautiful song. I think some of the musicians from Astral Weeks are also on this record. Three Chords and the Truth by Van Morrison. Absolutely love it. Next, again, another album I've talked to death, The Monkees. This came out in 2016, featuring the living Monkees at the time, Peter Tork, Michael Nesmith, and Mickey Dolenz, as well as an archival song from Davy Jones. You can see the picture there of a young Davy and then the aged elder statesmen, Peter, Mike, and Mickey. This album was produced by Andrew Sandoval of Fountains of Wayne, who also is deceased due to COVID-19. I love Fountains of Wayne, great power pop group. Again, I've talked about this album to death. Contributions from old songwriters like Neil Diamond, Carole King, Harry Nilsson with the title track, but then also they took new songwriters like Andy Partridge of XTC. They did Noel Gallagher of Oasis, Rivers Cuomo of Weezer, and they also do a Michael Nesmith tune on here as well called I Know What I Know. Again, fantastic song. Ben Gibbard of Death Cab for Cutie wrote my favorite song, my favorite Monkey song, Me and Magdalena. Beautiful ballad, a duet with Mike and Mickey. Just, again, a perfect pop masterpiece. Good times. It's the best Monkees album. Any of you Monkees purists out there that don't think so, this is the best Monkees album. That's just how it is. Next, let's go with Paul Simon. I could have picked several Paul Simon albums. I'm going to go with this one. It's called So Beautiful or So What from 2011. Glenn Calloway did a great video where he was talking about artists who, age. A lot of these guys, for example, a lot of their later stuff just does not hold a candle to their peak performance. But two guys who maintain steady output in their, twilight years are probably Bob Dylan and Paul Simon. And Paul Simon has not put out a lot of junk in the new millennium. He just hasn't. And this is no exception. So Beautiful or So What. Beautiful songs on here. Like Rewrite, Dazzling Blue, The Afterlife. He does a beautiful guitar instrumental called Amulet. Questions for the Angels. Love and Blessings. Really, really great. I remember when this came out, people were saying it was his best album since Graceland, which, was 25 years prior. So Beautiful or So What, Paul Simon. Check it out. His new album, Seven Psalms, is right up there too. Next, let's just talk about Bob. I just talked about him. I could have picked a number of Dylan albums because, what do you consider Dylan's late career? Do you consider it 2000, 2001 with like Love and Theft? That's hard to say because he's gone on another 22 years since then and put out, records every couple of years. I could have picked Love and Theft. I could have picked Modern Times. I decided to go with Tempest. This was the first Bob Dylan album I bought when it came out new. Vocally, it's probably Dylan's roughest. I would not recommend to anybody who doesn't know about Bob Dylan to start with this album. There's Bob on the back looking cool. The opening track, Duquesne Whistle, fantastic track. I've always said that would be my theme music if I was in a movie. He does a beautiful song called Soon After Midnight right after that. Kind of a gritty song later on called Pain and Blood. Scarlet Town has a very eerie sound to it, which would, again, kind of allude to some of the style that he would take on his Rough and Rowdy Ways album that came out in 2020. He does a song called Tempest about the sinking of the Titanic, where he incorporates historical facts as well as, like scenes from the movie, the James Cameron movie. And then he does a tribute to John Lennon, the last track, which isn't the strongest track, but he does a track called Roll On John about John Lennon. So Tempest by Bob Dylan. Next, I'm going to do Highway Companion by Tom Petty. This came out in 2006, ended up being his last solo record, produced by Jeff Lynne. But obviously he's got Mike Campbell on this album, as he did with Full Moon Fever and Wildflowers, his other 2 solo CDs. There's some rockers on here, Saving Grace, Flirting with Time, Turn This Car Around. But it's also, there's a lot of like, great ballads. Square One is beautiful. Down South could have fit on Southern accents easy. Big Weekend's another rocker. Damaged by Love, The Golden Rose are great ballads. It's kind of a mix of Wildflowers and Full Moon Fever. So it's kind of got the pop sensibilities with songs like Saving Grace and Flirting with Time, but it's also got like the more introspective songs like The Golden Rose and Damaged by Love, which you would find on Wallflowers. So it's a great hybrid of both. Highly recommend this Highway Companion. And lastly, for this little video for my thread, the Beach Boys, That's Why God Made the Radio. It was the last Beach Boys album. It featured original Beach Boys, Mike Love, Brian Wilson, Al Jardine, David Marks, and then also Bruce Johnston, who joined in 1965. So really, again, one of those albums, it shouldn't have been as good as it was. I would say probably it's the best thing that Brian Wilson has put his name on in the last 20 years. The final suite at the end with Strange World, From There to Back Again, Pacific Coast Highway, and Summer's Gone. It's beautiful. It's as peak as the stuff that he was putting out with Pet Sounds and Smile. Summer's Gone, if that ends up being the last Beach Boys song, which I kind of hope it is at this point, especially with the health condition that Brian's in, I think it's a perfect close. Great catchy title track, That's Why God Made the Radio. They do a great song on here called Isn't It Time, which is like ukulele based. Just really, really great. I need to listen to this album. It's been about a year since I've listened to it. So That's Why God Made the Radio is closing out 10 later career masterpieces. So let me know what y'all think. Please jump on the thread. I really appreciate you if you do it. I appreciate you if you don't do it, but do it because it's just fun to get people, some video ideas out there. So let me know what you think of those albums, if you know them at all. Comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will talk to you on the next one. Be good. Take care. Bye now.